Tanzania agriculture sector is a very critical sector. It contributes up to 28% to the country's GDP, and it employs more than 70% of the country's population. Maize is the most produced food crop in Tanzania, accounting to nearly 62%, followed by rice, 21%, pulses, 15%, and wheat, 0.7%. Cashew nuts are the most produced cash crop in Tanzania, 35.2% of the produced cashew in the country, followed by cotton, 34.9%, coffee, 10.4%, tobacco, 8.6%, tea, 5.8%, and sisal, 5%. Tanzania is one of the leading countries when it comes to livestock production. And also, it's one of the countries performing very well when it comes to fisheries, okay, in East Africa and even in Africa. But despite agriculture, being a very key sector to the country's economy, the sector is facing a number of challenges. And here are some of the challenges facing the agriculture sector in Tanzania. One of the challenges is climatic changes and weather unpredictability, where in the past 5 to 10 years ago, 5-10 years, farmers in Tanzania have been badly affected by drought, instances, uncontrolled pests and diseases. But also there are marketing challenges. Farmers are struggling to sell their crops at the end of the season due to unavailability of markets to sell their crops, and sometimes lower prices which do not give enough funds to farmers to be able to recover their production costs, but also to improve their living conditions. Another challenge facing the agriculture sector in Tanzania is poor financing arrangements towards supporting the sector to develop. Our farmers, especially smallholder farmers in Tanzania, they are very struggling to get financing support from financial institutions such as banks, microfinance institutions, to be able to access quality inputs, tools such as tractors, planters, etc., so that those financing could, improve and moving, from producing, from farming 1 acre, to 3 acres, and up to become medium and large-scale farmers. Another challenge facing the agriculture sector in Tanzania is poor usage of technologies in farming activities. We still have, some farmers in the country who are using hands, to cultivate their lands. So you can imagine, a farmer of new generation is still, or she's still using, hands to farm, his or her land, okay? So this poor usage of technology is one of the biggest challenges affecting the agriculture sector in Tanzania. Another problem or challenge affecting the agriculture sector in Tanzania is, an organization of our farmers. As I said earlier, agriculture sector in Tanzania, it employs more than 70%, and actually majority of them are smallholder farmers scattered across the country. Now, these farmers, most of them are very unorganized. They are not in groups, so it becomes very difficult for government or financial institutions to be able to reach them and give them the support they need, which can improve their farming activities. Another problem facing the agriculture sector in Tanzania is changing of policies. We have seen in the last few years there have been some changes to the selling of crops in the country, whereby in some instances farmers were not allowed to sell their crops outside the country, which later on affected people or affected farmers to be able to get enough money to invest in their farming activities and improve their farming, and also improve the country's economic growth. Another challenge affecting the agriculture sector in Tanzania, as I said earlier, it is practiced by smallholder farmers. We have so many number of smallholder farmers who are doing 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, etc. Such kind of farming behavior or arrangement, it somehow does not contribute much, to the growth of the agriculture sector in the country, because most of these farmers are not using technologies, they're not using proper tools like tractors, planters, etc. So So it becomes very difficult for them to grow. Now, as I said earlier, I'll be taking you through technologies which, have been introduced to the agriculture sector in Tanzania, and I will show you now how, these technologies can be used by the government, can be used by the financial institutions like banks, insurance companies, to be able to improve the agriculture sector in the country. Okay. Number one technology which has been introduced in the country in recent years is the use of mobile applications to be able to track the whereabouts of our farmers. As I said earlier, majority of our farmers are smallholder farmers who are scattered, across Tanzania. And you can imagine, Tanzania is one of the biggest country in terms of the size in East Africa. So having almost 70% of the Tanzanian population involving the agriculture, it is very difficult for service providers like insurance, banks, etc., to be able to track these farmers. Now, because of the technology, service providers like banks and insurance companies can use mobile applications, okay, to be able to know where these farmers are, so that they can go and educate them about, different services they're offering, but also to provide, complex services like, crop insurance services, to be able to offer them weather advisory services, etc. So that's one of very recent technology which is changing the agriculture sector in the country. Another technology or an opportunity or an advantage, brought by these disruptive technologies is the ability of connecting farmers with, market actors, okay? As I said earlier, in some instances, farmers were complaining that they're not getting, good markets for their produces. Now, because of these technologies, farmers can use different applications and softwares, to be able to connect with different markets, or rather, buyers who can offer them fair and good prices for their produces, for their crops, which is a very good thing, which, helps our agriculture sector in the country to grow. Another opportunity brought by these disruptive technologies is the provision of agronomy services in a digital way to our farmers. Now there is, capacity for authorities which are responsible, to provide agronomy advisories to farmers through digital platforms. Okay, farmers, for example, who are, doing farming activities, for example, in Njombe, okay, or in Mwanza, Bariadi, for example, Simiyu, they can use their mobile applications, to be able to know when, they're supposed to plant. Is it going to rain tomorrow, so that they can avoid to plant. But also, these platforms can even help other providers, service providers, like insurance companies, to be able to customize their product so that, they can offer more advanced services to their targeted clients, whom are farmers. Another benefit of these technologies is, enabling farmers to be able to access, alerts. Okay, alerts. These could be, risk. So that is one of the advantage of these technologies. Another advantage of these technologies is the ability of smallholder farmers in the country to be able to use irrigation systems, which can help them, to fight or minimize the impact of drought. Now, in our markets, there are a number of providers who are selling, for example, solar-powered irrigation systems, which are very affordable. And because in some of our regions or in some of our areas, farmers do not have access to electricity, these farmers can use these solar-powered irrigation system to be able to improve their farming activities in those particular areas. But also, disruptive technologies have helped insurance companies. For example, in Tanzania, there are a number of insurance companies which have come up with different agriculture insurance products by using different systems. Okay, there's one insurance company which launched a product whereby they're using pictures, to be able to assess whether the insured crops have suffered losses or not, and if that particular crops or that particular farmer is supposed to be compensated by the insurance company or not. So you can imagine, instead of the insurance company sending an assessor to go to assess the farm physically, an insurance company can communicate with that insured farmer and tell him to go to his field, take a picture, and send to the insurance company so that the insurance company can determine whether that risk affecting that particular insured farm can be is insured risk or not insured risk, and if it is insured risk, how much the insurance company will be required to compensate that particular farmer at the end of the season. So another advantage of these disruptive technologies is the provision of digital contracting to the insurance products. For example, the Bima Pima product and Lima Salama product, whereby farmers in the country now can buy the insurance, the agriculture insurance products via their mobile phones, and at the same time, getting the insurance policy through their mobile phones. This is a very good example which shows now how these disruptive technologies have helped to improve the agriculture insurance in the country. Because before it was very difficult for the insurance companies to go to visit individual farmer, convince him to buy that particular policy, but at the same time for that particular insurance company to draft and issue the policy document, as it was handled in a paper, in a document way. But now, because of this technological advancement, farmers can buy the insurance contract by using their mobile phones, but also getting all the information, digitally through their mobile phones. So this is very important when it comes to the improvement or development of the agriculture insurance in the country. Another advantage of these disruptive technologies is the provision of financing services to farmers through mobile money platforms such as Vodacom M-Pesa, Tigo Pesa, T-Pesa from TTCL, Halo Pesa from Halotel, etc. Now farmers from anywhere across the country, he can buy his insurance contract and pay for that particular insurance contract by using his mobile money wallet. And also, at the time of getting compensation, farmers can use their mobile money to receive compensation from the insurance companies instead of going physically. As I said, one of the challenges affecting the agriculture sector in the country is market for farmers' crops. Okay, in some instances, farmers have been producing a lot of crops, but at the end of the day, they have been suffering to get buyers who can give them a good and fair price for their crops. So because of technology, now farmers can go to different platforms. For example, there's one platform known as Mkulima platform, whereby farmers can visit that platform and link with different buyers who can buy their crops in a fair and good price. Another advantage of technology is verification of counterfeit products or inputs. Okay, back in the days, farmers they used to buy inputs without being sure if those inputs are genuine inputs or not. Okay, because there was no mechanism for them to check whether they are buying something genuine or not. But now, because of technology, farmers can use their mobile phones to check whether the inputs they're intending to buy is genuine or not. So this is another very good advantage of disruptive technology which is happening now in the agriculture sector in Tanzania. Now, if you look now at the big picture, there are so many advantages of disruptive technologies, or there are so many advantages which, are happening now in the country because of, these advancement of technologies. And in a broader way, I can summarize and say, these technologies have greatly reduced the cost of farming in the country. For example, as I said, one of the challenges affecting the agriculture sector is climatic change. And now, because of technology, farmers can use or can access very advanced irrigation systems, in a very affordable cost. So technology has helped farmers to reduce or help them to, to minimize the risk which could, affect their crops due to drought. Another advantage of these technologies is risk mitigation solutions. As I said, before, for example, in Tanzania, it was very difficult for insurance companies to be able to offer different types of agriculture insurance in the country. And the reason why it was difficult, because, as I said, majority of the farmers were smallholder farmers, so it was very difficult for insurance companies to be able to go to sell agriculture insurance products, to an individual farmer. It was very expensive for them to do that. But again, for the insurance companies, they wanted to have enough data, okay? Enough historical weather data, enough historical production records for them to be able to determine the level of premium. Another advantage of these technologies is simplification of market linkages, as I said. Another one is confidence to farmers. Now farmers, they have more confidence in investing in agriculture activities in the country, because they know, there are different mechanisms, like I said, like, insurance, which can protect their crops against, unpredictable risks. But also, the technology has helped a lot service providers like financial institutions to be able to provide, services which before it was very difficult for them to provide because of these farmers. As I said, they are scattered, and it's very, very, very time consuming and very expensive for them to be able to reach them. And here are some of the challenges which, affecting the uptake of disruptive technologies in the country. Lack of role models who can convince others, to use these challenges. For example, I said, farmers can use e-market system to access good markets for their crops. But again, that could be very difficult for a new farmer who does not have enough understanding and knowledge on how to download, for example, an application to be able to access such useful information on how to sell his crop. So they need people who can motivate them, they need people who can show them, and I think that is one of the challenges which is facing the use of these technologies to support agriculture sector in the country. Another challenge is lack of policies to support these technologies to be adapted quickly. I think in the country we do not have a guideline or policy which highlights the importance of these technologies in supporting the development of agriculture sector in the country. Yes, and lastly, as I said before, these technologies are very costly, for both the providers, but also the consumers, whom in our case are farmers. Now, to finalize, the use of technology in Tanzania in the past 5-10 years has helped a lot, the agriculture sector in Tanzania, and you can see it in different perspectives. I would like to summarize in two perspectives. Number one, in terms of improving agriculture, as a subsector it is, okay? I mentioned about the usage of irrigation systems. As I said, most of our farmers are smallholder farmers, and also almost 70% of Tanzanians are involved in the agriculture sector. So, availability of these technologies have helped farmers who do not have access to electricity, for example, to access solar-powered irrigation systems, to improve their farming activities in their areas. That is one angle. But also, These technologies have helped, farmers in the country to be able to access financial services. As I said earlier, before it was very difficult for farmers to be trusted by financial institutions such as banks, to get loans, to buy, for example, to buy inputs, quality inputs, or to buy tools like planters, etc. But now, because of this advancement of technology, farmers can use insurance, for example, as a guarantee to access financing from financial institutions. So these developments have helped tremendously the agriculture sector in the country. Thank you so much.